The clay slipped through Tyler Donovan's fingers, refusing to cooperate despite his determined grip. As the wheel spun, the shapeless mass collapsed for the third time, splattering his tailored Armani pants with wet clay. He cursed under his breath, wondering why on earth he had thought that a pottery class of all things would be the answer to his therapist's insistence that he needed a creative outlet. Emma Lancaster circled the room, observing her students with a patient eye. It was the first night of her 8-week beginner's pottery course at the Riverside Community Arts Center. Most of her students were the usual mix: retired couples, young artists, and middle-aged women seeking a creative hobby. But the man in Station 7 caught her attention not just because he was struggling more than most, but because he looked entirely out of place in expensive clothes and a watch that probably cost more than she made in 3 months. "Need some help?" Emma asked, approaching Tyler's workstation. He looked up, frustration evident in his steel blue eyes. "Apparently, I need a miracle. This clay has a vendetta against me." Emma laughed, a warm, genuine sound that made Tyler forget his annoyance for a moment. "The clay doesn't have feelings, but it does respond to yours. Your gripping too tightly pottery is about guiding, not controlling." She pulled up a stool beside him, her slim fingers demonstrating on her own wheel. "Like this. Hold gently, let the wheel do the work." Tyler watched her hands, mesmerized by the ease with which she transformed a lump of nothing into something with purpose and shape. He hadn't noticed when she introduced herself at the beginning of class, but now he couldn't help but take in her features: the constellation of freckles across her nose, the auburn hair pulled back in a messy bun, and the startling green eyes focused intently on her work. "I'm Emma, by the way," she said, glancing up and catching him staring. "Tyler," he replied, deliberately omitting his last name. Tyler Donovan of Donovan Real Estate Development was too well known in the city. For once, he wanted to be just Tyler, a guy terrible at pottery. "Try again," Emma encouraged, stepping back. "Remember, guide, don't force." Tyler repeated her motions, surprised when the clay began to respond. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. "It's actually working," he said, unable to hide his childlike delight. "See?" "You've got this," Emma said with a smile before moving on to help another student. For the next hour, Tyler focused on his bowl, occasionally glancing up to watch Emma move around the room. There was something captivating about her, not just her obvious skill, but the way she engaged with each student, her genuine enthusiasm for teaching, and the complete absence of pretense that dominated his usual social circles. When class ended, Tyler felt a strange reluctance to leave. He carefully placed his lopsided bowl on the drying shelf, noting Emma's small smile of approval. "Not bad for your first try," she said. "Thanks to your help," Tyler replied, "though I'm not sure pottery is my calling." "Give it time," Emma encouraged. "No one masters it on the first night." Tyler nodded, gathering his belongings. "Next week, then." On the drive back to his penthouse, Tyler found himself thinking about Emma's hands on the clay, strong, confident, creating something from nothing. It was so different from his world of property acquisitions and development deals, where success was measured in dollars and square footage. His phone buzzed with messages from his executive assistant about tomorrow's board meeting and the Hong Kong investors flying in, but for once, Tyler didn't immediately respond. Instead, he found himself looking forward to next Tuesday's pottery class in a way that surprised him. Emma, meanwhile, closed up the studio, thinking about her eclectic group of new students. The man in the expensive suit Tyler had stood out, and not just because of his evident wealth. There had been something vulnerable in his frustrated attempts, something genuine in his smile when he'd finally created something with his hands. Most wealthy people who took her classes did so as a novelty experience, rarely returning after the first session. She wondered if she'd see him again. As Emma walked to her modest apartment 6 blocks from the Arts Center, she made a mental note to prepare some simpler exercises for next week's class. She thought of Tyler's focused expression and found herself hoping he wouldn't give up too easily. The following Tuesday, Tyler arrived 15 minutes early, surprising himself. Punctuality was his norm in business, but he was usually fashionably late to social engagements. This was neither, yet he'd rearranged a dinner with potential investors to make sure he wouldn't miss it. Emma was setting up when he entered, her hair loose around her shoulders today. She looked up, clearly surprised. "You came back," Tyler shrugged, setting down his bag. "I have an unfinished bowl to attend to. I'm not a quitter." Emma smiled, and Tyler felt an unexpected warmth spread through him. "Well, I'm glad. Your bowl survived the first firing. It's with the others on that shelf if you want to see." Tyler examined his creation with critical eyes. It was undeniably amateur, uneven, and thick-walled, but he felt an unexpected pride in it nonetheless. "Today we'll be glazing those pieces," Emma explained, "and starting new ones." As other students filtered in, Tyler noticed Emma greeting each one by name, remembering their projects and asking about their lives. When class began, she demonstrated glazing techniques with the same patience and enthusiasm she had shown the previous week. Working beside Tyler was an elderly woman named Ruth, who chatted amiably as they painted their pieces. "Emma's the best teacher I've had," she told him. "Been taking classes here for years with different instructors. None of them compare." "How long has she been teaching?" Tyler asked, trying to sound casual. "About 3 years, I think. She used to work for some fancy art gallery downtown, but she said teaching makes her happier." Ruth dipped her brush in a deep blue glaze. "Though I suspect the pay is considerably less." Tyler nodded, watching Emma help a young couple across the room. The Community Arts Center was housed in an aging building that had seen better days. The equipment was functional but dated, and he'd noticed water stains on the ceiling in one corner. After class, Tyler lingered, helping Emma clean up while the other students filed out. "You don't have to do that," she said as he wiped down work surfaces. "I don't mind," Tyler replied. "Besides, I have questions about glazing techniques." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Really? You seem to have a good grasp of the basics." "Okay, you caught me," Tyler admitted with a laugh. "I actually wanted to ask if you'd have coffee with me sometime." Emma's hands stilled on the tools she was organizing. "Oh, I don't usually date students." "Is that an official policy or a personal one?" Tyler asked. "Personal," Emma admitted. "It gets complicated," Tyler nodded, accepting her boundary. "Fair enough. But if you change your mind, the offer stands." Emma watched him go, feeling a twinge of regret. There was something about Tyler that intrigued her, a genuineness beneath the polished exterior. But she'd learned the hard way that mixing her professional and personal lives rarely ended well. Over the next few weeks, Tyler became increasingly invested in the pottery class. His skills improved marginally, but his real progress was in patience. The meditative quality of working with clay provided a respite from his high-pressure career that he hadn't known he needed. He also learned more about Emma through casual conversation and observation. She lived alone, loved old movies, and worked part-time at a local bookstore to supplement her teaching income. She had a degree in fine arts from the State University and dreamed of opening her own studio someday. She brought homemade cookies to share during their mid-class break and knew exactly how each student took their coffee. For her part, Emma found herself looking forward to Tyler's presence each week. He never mentioned his work specifically, but she gathered he was successful in some kind of business. What impressed her more was his determination to improve and his respectful interactions with the other students, many of whom were from very different backgrounds than his own. During the 4th week, disaster struck. A heavy rainstorm revealed major problems with the Arts Center's roof, sending water cascading into the pottery studio and damaging equipment. Emma arrived Tuesday evening to find Tyler and the other students standing outside the building, a handwritten class-canceled sign on the door. "What happened?" Tyler asked, seeing Emma's distressed expression. "Roof leak," she explained. Water damaged 3 of the wheels and the electric kiln. The director says repairs will take at least 2 weeks, maybe more. What about our projects? Asked one of the students. They're safe for now, but… Emma sighed. We can't fire anything until the kiln is fixed. I'm so sorry, everyone. The center will email about makeup classes. The group dispersed, disappointed. Tyler remained, watching Emma's crestfallen expression. Is there anything I can do to help? He asked. Emma shook her head. Unless you happen to be a roofing contractor or have a spare kiln lying around, not really. The center operates on a shoestring budget as it is. Tyler nodded thoughtfully. Let me at least buy you a coffee. You look like you could use it. Emma hesitated, then relented. You know what? Yes, that would be nice. They walked to a small cafe around the corner, settling at a table near the window. Emma wrapped her hands around her mug, the warmth comforting. I'm really sorry about class. It's not your fault the building is falling apart, Tyler replied. Has it always been that way? Pretty much. The center gets by on grants and donations, but it's never enough for major repairs. Emma sipped her coffee. The director has been applying for a capital improvement grant for years. Tyler nodded, an idea forming. What would it take to really fix the place up right, not just patches? Emma laughed. A miracle, probably at least $100,000 for a new roof, upgraded electrical, proper ventilation for the kilns. She shook her head. Why do you ask? Tyler shrugged. Just curious. So, since we have unexpected free time, tell me more about your dream studio. Emma's face lit up as she described her vision: a bright, open space with large windows, multiple kilns, wheels for students, and a dedicated area for her own work. I'd want to keep it affordable, though, she added. Art should be accessible to everyone, not just people who can pay premium prices. Tyler listened, captivated by her passion. You really love teaching, don't you? More than I ever expected to, Emma admitted. There's something amazing about helping someone create something with their own hands, seeing that moment when they stop thinking so hard and just connect with the clay. She looked embarrassed. Sorry, I tend to ramble about this. Don't apologize, Tyler said. It's refreshing to hear someone talk about their work with genuine love. Their conversation flowed easily, touching on books, travel, and childhood memories. Emma learned that Tyler had grown up with privilege, but had also faced expectations that had sometimes felt suffocating. Tyler discovered that Emma had been raised by her grandmother after her parents died in an accident when she was 10, and that pottery had become her therapy during those difficult years. When they finally left the cafe, 2 hours had passed in what felt like minutes. Standing on the sidewalk, Tyler felt reluctant to end their evening. I had a great time, he said. So did I, Emma admitted with a small smile. Thanks for the distraction. Maybe we could do it again sometime, Tyler suggested, even if it's not on a night when class is canceled. Emma hesitated. Tyler, just as friends, he clarified, though he wasn't sure that's what he wanted. No pressure. Emma searched his face, then nodded. Okay, as friends. Over the next week, while the Arts Center remained closed, Tyler made several phone calls and arranged meetings that had nothing to do with his company's latest development project. He also texted Emma twice, once to share a photo of a hilariously bad ceramic piece he'd spotted in a store window, and once to recommend a book he thought she'd enjoy. Emma responded warmly, sending him a picture of a mug she was working on at home and suggesting they meet for coffee again the following Sunday. At the cafe, Emma seemed more relaxed than before, laughing easily at Tyler's stories and sharing more about her own life. He found himself captivated by the way her hands moved expressively when she talked, the same fluid grace she showed when working with clay. I miss our class, Tyler admitted. Any news on when repairs will be finished? Emma's smile faltered. Not great news. The damage was worse than they thought. The director is talking about canceling the rest of the session and refunding everyone's money. They can't afford the repairs right now. That's terrible, Tyler said, genuinely dismayed. What will you do? Emma shrugged. Find other teaching opportunities, I guess. Maybe take on more hours at the bookstore until something else comes up. She tried to smile. I'll be fine. I'm more worried about the center itself. It's such an important place for the community. Tyler nodded, his mind already working on the plans he'd set in motion days ago. I'm sure something will work out, he said. 2 days later, Emma received a call from the Arts Center's director asking her to come in immediately. Worried about bad news, she was stunned to arrive and find a construction crew already at work on the roof. What's happening? She asked the director, a woman named Deanne who had run the center for 15 years. Deanne beamed, looking happier than Emma had ever seen her. A miracle, that's what. An anonymous donor has provided funds not only to fix the roof, but to renovate the entire building. New electrical, plumbing, ventilation, everything we've needed for years. Anonymous donor, Emma repeated, a suspicion forming. Completely anonymous, Deanne confirmed. But whoever it is specified that the Pottery studio should be prioritized and upgraded with top-of-the-line equipment. New wheels, kilns, the works. She squeezed Emma's hand. They also stipulated that your teaching position should be made full-time with benefits if you're interested. Emma felt dizzy with the implications. When did this happen? The donation came through yesterday, Deanne explained. The donor had apparently been researching our needs and lining up contractors already because they showed up first thing this morning. We should be able to reopen in about 3 weeks. Emma nodded numbly, then pulled out her phone once Deanne was called away. She typed a message to Tyler. We need to talk. Meet me at the cafe in an hour. Tyler was already waiting when she arrived, an expression of careful neutrality on his face that immediately confirmed her suspicions. It was you, wasn't it? Emma asked without preamble, sliding into the seat across from him. The anonymous donation to the Arts Center. Tyler met her gaze steadily. Would it be a problem if it was? Tyler, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Of course it's a problem. Emma lowered her voice when nearby patrons looked over. Why would you do that? Because the center needs it, Tyler replied simply. And because it matters to you. Emma stared at him, processing his words. Just how wealthy are you? Tyler sighed. I own Donovan Real Estate Development. We specialize in commercial properties throughout the Northeast. Emma's eyes widened in recognition. Donovan. Wait, you're that Tyler Donovan? Your company built half the new downtown district. Not quite half, Tyler said with a small smile. But yes, that's me. Why didn't you tell me? Because for once, I wanted someone to know me as just Tyler, not as my net worth or my company. He leaned forward. Emma, I didn't donate to the center to impress you or to make you feel obligated in any way. I did it because it's a worthy cause that needs support, and yes, because I knew it would make you happy. Emma struggled with conflicting emotions. The full-time teaching position. Tyler had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I may have mentioned that the center would benefit from having you more involved, but Deanne agreed completely that wasn't a condition. Emma sat back, trying to process everything. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Tyler assured her. If you're uncomfortable with the donation, I understand, but I hope you'll still let me take your class when the center reopens. He hesitated. And maybe continue being my friend. Emma studied his face, seeing genuine concern there. I need some time to think about this, she finally said. Tyler nodded. Of course. The next 3 weeks passed slowly for both of them. Tyler immersed himself in work, overseeing a new development in the business district while trying not to check his phone constantly for messages from Emma. She had texted once to thank him for his generosity, but had maintained distance otherwise, saying she needed space to sort through her feelings. Tyler respected her request, though it wasn't easy. He hadn't expected to develop such strong feelings for Emma in such a short time, but there was something about her authenticity and passion that had carved out a space in his heart. When the Arts Center finally reopened, Tyler wasn't sure if he should attend the first class back. In the end, he decided to go, prepared to leave if Emma seemed uncomfortable with his presence. The renovated studio was transformed bright, clean, and equipped with state-of-the-art pottery wheels and tools. The other students exclaimed over the improvements as they arrived, and Emma stood in the center of the room, looking both excited and slightly overwhelmed by the changes. Her eyes found Tyler's when he entered, and for a moment he couldn't read her expression. Then she smiled a small, private smile that eased the tightness in his chest. Class proceeded with a focus on the new equipment, and Tyler found himself enjoying the improved wheel, though his skills remained mediocre at best. Throughout the evening, he caught Emma watching him, a thoughtful expression on her face. As the other students filed out after class, Tyler slowly packed up, uncertain whether to linger or give Emma more space. "Tyler," she called, making his decision for him. "Would you stay for a minute?" He approached her workstation where she was cleaning clay from her hands. "The renovation is amazing," he said. "Everyone seems thrilled." Emma nodded. "It's better than I could have imagined. Deanne wants me to develop 3 new classes for the expanded schedule." "That's great," Tyler said sincerely. "You'll be an excellent full-time instructor." Emma dried her hands and turned to face him fully. "I've been thinking a lot these past weeks, about you, about your donation." "Emma, I really didn't." She held up a hand. "Let me finish." "At first I was uncomfortable with the scale of your generosity. It felt unbalanced between us." She took a deep breath. "But then I realized something. You saw a need and you filled it, not for recognition or to gain anything, but because you could. That's actually a beautiful quality." Tyler felt hope rising in his chest. "So you're not upset?" "No," Emma said with a small laugh. "I'm still processing the fact that I've been teaching pottery to one of the city's most eligible bachelors, but I'm not upset." Her expression grew more serious. "But Tyler, I need you to understand something. I can't be bought, not my affection, not my time, not anything." "I would never try," Tyler said earnestly. "Emma, I donated to the center because it deserves support, and because seeing you talk about teaching made me realize how important places like this are. But my feelings for you are completely separate from that." Emma's cheeks flushed slightly. "Your feelings?" Tyler took a step closer. "I've never met anyone like you, someone so passionate about their work, so authentic with people, so unimpressed by status or money. Being around you makes me want to be better, to create rather than just acquire." He smiled ruefully. "Even if what I create is the world's most lopsided bowl." Emma laughed, the tension breaking. "It wasn't that bad." "It was terrible," Tyler insisted. "But you made me feel like it was worth making anyway." Emma's expression softened. "That's what art is, about the process, not just the result." She hesitated, then added, "I've missed talking to you these past weeks." "I've missed you too," Tyler admitted. "More than I expected to." Emma took a deep breath. "I think my no dating students policy might need some reconsideration." Tyler's heart raced. "Is that so?" "In certain exceptional cases," Emma clarified with a smile. "Very exceptional." "Would a millionaire with limited artistic ability but genuine admiration for his instructor qualify as exceptional?" Tyler asked, stepping closer. Emma pretended to consider this. "I suppose that depends on whether he's asking me out because he really likes me or because he's running out of community organizations to donate to." Tyler laughed. "Definitely the first reason." His expression grew more serious. "Emma, I'd like to take you to dinner. Not as your student, not as a donor, just as a man who finds everything about you fascinating." Emma's smile widened. "I'd like that." Their first official date took place at a small Italian restaurant where the owner knew Tyler by name but treated all guests with equal warmth. Emma wore a simple green dress that brought out her eyes, and Tyler found himself captivated by her animated descriptions of a ceramic art exhibition she'd recently attended. "Sorry," she said after a particularly detailed explanation of raku firing techniques. "I'm talking too much about pottery again." "I love hearing you talk about it," Tyler assured her. "Your passion is contagious." As their relationship deepened over the following months, Tyler found himself drawn more and more into Emma's world of creation and artistic expression. He continued taking her pottery classes, gradually improving under her patient guidance. Emma, meanwhile, learned about property development and was surprised to find herself interested in the architectural and community planning aspects of Tyler's work. They balanced each other, Emma encouraging Tyler to slow down and appreciate the process of creating, while Tyler helped Emma think bigger about her dreams for the future. When she tentatively shared her hopes of someday opening her own studio and gallery, Tyler offered not funding, but connections to local business advisors who could help her develop a solid business plan. 6 months into their relationship, Tyler invited Emma to his penthouse for the first time. She had been hesitant about seeing his home, worried about the disparity in their lifestyles. But when she entered, she was surprised to find it both luxurious and welcoming, with warm colors and comfortable furniture. What caught her attention most, however, was a custom-built display shelf in the living room, illuminated with soft lighting. On it sat every piece Tyler had made in her class, from his first lopsided bowl to his most recent, almost symmetrical vase. "You kept them all," Emma said, touched by the display. "Of course I did," Tyler replied, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. "They represent something important, learning to value the imperfect, the handmade, the process of becoming." He kissed her temple. "You taught me that." "And what have I learned from you?" Emma asked, leaning back against him. "Hopefully that not all rich guys are pretentious jerks," Tyler suggested with a laugh. "Just some of them," Emma teased, turning in his arms to face him. "But seriously, you've taught me to think bigger, to not limit my dreams because of financial constraints." A year after they met, Tyler helped Emma secure a business loan to open her own small studio and gallery in a renovated warehouse space. He had offered to provide the funding himself, but understood when Emma insisted on making it happen largely on her own terms, with just his guidance on the business aspects. At the grand opening of Lancaster Ceramics, Emma's former students from the community center joined art enthusiasts and local business owners in celebrating her achievement. Tyler stood proudly beside her as she cut the ribbon, his heart full at seeing her dream realized. That night, after the guests had left, Tyler and Emma remained in the studio, sitting on a bench near the large windows that overlooked the river. "Happy?" Tyler asked, holding her hand. "Beyond happy," Emma replied. "I still can't believe this is real." "Believe it," Tyler said. "You worked incredibly hard for this." Emma turned to him. "You know, when you first walked into my class in your expensive suit looking completely out of place, I never imagined we'd end up here." Tyler laughed. "Honestly, neither did I. I just needed a hobby that didn't involve looking at spreadsheets. And instead you found love," Tyler finished simply. "I found love." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Emma's eyes widened as he opened it to reveal a ring with a simple but elegant emerald, the same deep green as her eyes. "Emma Lancaster, you've shaped my life in ways I never expected. You've taught me patience, perspective, and the value of creating something meaningful with my own hands." Tyler's voice was steady despite his racing heart. "Will you marry me and continue building something beautiful together?" Tears filled Emma's eyes as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Absolutely yes." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Tyler reflected on the strange path that had led him here, how a simple pottery class taken on his therapist's recommendation had transformed his life completely. He had entered that classroom seeking only a distraction from work stress, and had found instead a woman who challenged him to see the world differently, to value the imperfect and handmade over the sleek and mass-produced. Emma looked at the ring on her finger, then up at Tyler's face, the face of a man who had entered her classroom as just another student, but had become the center of her world. Despite their different backgrounds, they had found in each other a perfect complement, each bringing something essential to the other's life. "I love you," she said simply. "I love you too," Tyler replied, pulling her close. "Even if I never master the potter's wheel." Emma laughed against his chest. "That's okay. You have other talents." In the quiet studio surrounded by Emma's creations, Tyler felt a contentment he had never known in all his years of business success. Who could have predicted that his most valuable acquisition would not be a prime piece of real estate, but the heart of a pottery teacher who had shown him how to shape not just clay, but a life of genuine meaning and joy?